Hi and welcome to another Type With Me. In today's video I want to talk about the HTML data list. It's a cool feature that the browsers are working on. You need to know that this feature is not baseline because it's not working in some of the most widely used browsers. They are still working on it. I think if we go to MDN, right, you will see that browser compatibility here, that certain parts are not having full compatibility. It has or is being partially supported. The data list element will only create a drop down for textual types such as text. For all the rest, it's not being supported. Same thing I think here for Firefox for Android, it's not working. So you need to know that. But if we now go to the complete list on top of it, and I show you a little bit of what it can do, well, actually here you have an input list ice cream flavors with an ID ice cream choice and the name ice cream choice. Then you have here your data list, and then you have options and then a value, and then the values that you want to have, right? You can then type in chocolate or coconut or whatever, and it will then show that. You can very easily make show out of it. It doesn't matter. You can also choose to fill in hit. These are just suggestions, right? But it could be interesting for your users to create some kind of a suggestion list. A data list is not a replacement for select. A data list that does not represent an input itself. It's a list of suggested values for an associated control. The control can still accept any value that passes validation, even if it's not in the suggested list. If you now go here, for example, you see here data list ID browsers, same kind of thing here, and then we can just choose Firefox, for example. So it's another one for time to select the right time. We can have here some suggestions, and we can here click otherwise, and we can then change them, for example, or we can click back and we can use the popular hours, right? Same thing for a range. You can here drag and drop the range, right? You need to know the label attribute is intended to provide labels for tick marks as defined in the HTML standard. However, current browsers support various labels may not be displayed visually as tooltips, which is a pity, but I hope that they will implement it so that we can get here labels where we can say, like, this value, it has this meaning, this value, it has this meaning. When you have an input type range, I think it would be very great and cool to have that, right? Another thing that I personally didn't know that it existed, but it exists, is the input type color. I think it's a very cool one. You can here then just provide certain default values of options. These values are also colors, so it displays within Chrome the right color. And if you say I want to do or create or use other colors, well, then it opens this one, and then it can go to another color, right? And you can pick another color. Like I said before, these are just suggestions. These are just suggestions, but that's it. If you now go and look up this element in another browser, then you will see that we see some differences. So we have opened up Safari, and if you see here, for example, and then I type in this one, I can very easily click on this one, right? But it looks different. You see here we have an arrow. If we go to Chrome, you don't have, or you have a different kind of an arrow, right? And then again, if I go here for my hours, you see here it doesn't work. I don't know how I can get suggestions, but I don't get the suggestions, right? So that's something works a little bit different. You see here we get some kind of ticks where we can then put our range upon, and then here we have our color palette, but here you see it also looks different, and that's the whole point of native HTML elements. And definitely for the data list is not, it's not possible to style the data list. You cannot style it. It stays native according to the browser, and the implementation internally can differ a little bit, right? So it's important to know. I think it's a good option. I think it's nice to have this possibility, right? I look forward to have this implemented within within the applications that we are creating. I think it's a great one for readers, for accessibility perspectives. You see here as well accessibility. For example, when decided to use data list element, here are some accessibility issues to be mindful of. The font size of the data list options does not zoom, always remain the same size. As target, the list of options with CSS is very limited to non-existing. Rendering cannot be styled for high contrast mode. Some screen readers, browser combinations including NVDA and Firefox do not announce the contents of the auto-suggest pop-up. So some things you need to take into account, right? So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.